And then I'm going to say good morning to all of you, CDPD crew. It's me, Jeanette Edwards. All right. I'm going to give you guys a few minutes to jump into the room. But let me go ahead and introduce our speaker today. And I'm so excited to host her. Today we are hosting Mildred Allen, and she's going to talk to us about truth and transparency. Mildred will be sharing her experiences from the last year and a half, ranging from grief, dealing with microaggression at work, and becoming a professional phoenix. She will go over methods to keep yourself engaged during stages of uncertainty. Mildred will also tell us how she uses visibility on social media as a platform to secure meaningful employment. And most importantly, she will be talking about leaning into personal authenticity, okay? Mildred is currently pursuing a master's degree in human resources management from the University of Maryland Global Campus. She spends her time practicing yoga to manage the complexities of work-life balance, advocates for BIPOCs, girls, and women through social activism, regularly attends ballet performances by the Dance Theater of Harlem, Albanelli, and binge watches shows such as 100 Humans, National Geographic, and NCIS. I am going to turn it over to Mildred immediately. I thank you so much for being here. And I'm just gonna add this to the, I said it in our live, I'm saying it right now again, that Mildred is our first CDPD member hosting who is currently a job seeker, guys. And this is so powerful. I'm not going to keep it too long, but I just think that this Mildred doing this with us and being so willing to share her truth and be transparent with us is going to be a great example for all of you of what you can do, even if you are currently on your employment seeking journey. All right, so I'm turning it over. I'm going to stop my video, mute myself. And Mildred, please add anything that I missed out, okay?
Well, good morning, everyone. And Danette, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. You and I have talked throughout the summer about different things going on with CDPD. But most of all, you've given me a lot of great encouragement through my process of career transition. So we are just going to start down this journey. It really started for me the beginning of 2019. Around April, my beloved father, who was just like my kindred spirit, unexpectedly passed. And through that passing, it really gave me an opportunity to really dig in to figure out who I was, what I was doing. I really had to get serious about life. He did have some health challenges, but the one thing that I always held on is the fact that we had a really great relationship, and he was like one of my biggest supporters. So through grief, I hope no one has had to go through that. And if you have, you'll kind of understand what I'm about to say. So when you are in grief, some days you're very happy. Some days you are very melancholy. And when you are at work, it looks very different. I am a perfectionist. And a little bit of OCD, very quirky, always smiling. But I was very hyper focused in my work. I wanted to make sure everything was detail oriented. I wanted to make sure that I followed up with as many people as I could. But it also came about where I was simultaneously withdrawn. I would attend meetings and I would be an active listener, but my body was there. My mind was with family and other places. And it was with the support of my empathetic and supportive family members, my friends, of course, my work friends, my manager at the time, and my coworkers. And while I was going through grief, I was also in my senior year at Virginia Wesleyan, getting my degree in comprehensive studies. So trying to be the mom, the daughter, supporting my mom through the grief, as well as a student and a coworker. It's a lot for one person, but I trudged through it. So shortly thereafter, it became very interesting. it's probably the best way to say it, about some of the changes at work. And every change is either great or it's absolutely wonderful. Well, for me, the latter part of 2019 was a true soul search. There was a change of management. The manager that I had received a wonderful opportunity to become our director. And she has been so very supportive of my career, as well as continuing my education. I talked with her about which MBA programs I should enroll in and her experiences. Well, with her becoming a director, that left a vacancy for our manager. And one of my previous coworkers, who I thought I had a really great relationship with, became my manager. And we both said, hey, I want to make sure that we keep the communication open. We're going to be working in 2 different offices. So if you ever need anything, just let me know. I had on my calendar everything that I did during the day. So if it were an office visit from one of our volunteers, that was placed on the calendar. If we had technology issues in the office, of course, that was on the calendar as well. But I wanted to give my manager the understanding that no matter where we were in the workday, she could always click on my calendar and to find out what I was doing and how my day was progressing. Well, several months after that change of management, things started to become a little bit peculiar, and it became very, very aggressive. So I'm going to tell you how it was for me. The communication, there was a breakdown in that. If I didn't immediately answer the phone, she would call around to my coworkers to see if I was at my desk. And they would be put in the awkward moment of saying, she's in the restroom, she's at lunch, she's with a volunteer, they're having a meeting. And it made my coworkers feel as though they had to answer for my physical being, which you never want to put your coworkers in that position. But it also came in the form of emails in all caps. And not just once, not twice, numerous times. And yes, I did go to HR about it. And they said, well, so when they say, well, sometimes that really doesn't work out to your favor. But the language became very aggressive to the point where I would break down at work in my office because I didn't know what more that I could do. And unfortunately, within several months, my doctor actually put me on bed rest. Yes, you heard that right. I was on bed rest from stress-induced migraines. I just physically could not get it together. So again, factoring in, I was grieving, being in school, as well as being a mom and being a supportive daughter, it took a lot. But I did something that I had in the past, but I needed to do more of it. And I leaned into my faith. I knew that the Lord put me in that situation for a learning opportunity. Now, the organization I worked for was absolutely great. I actually just received my 20th year anniversary, and my daughter is a 3rd generation member of the organization. So there was a lot of personal buy-in. And although the organization has been great, sometimes in life, their employees are not. So this isn't griping. This is just me telling you my truth. But every time that I put in a new application for a job, I prayed. And I prayed, dear Lord, if this is your will, let it be. I meditated. I am a yoga practitioner, lots of quiet time and coloring books. I love meditative coloring books and patiently waiting on his signs. But one thing that I did keep in my office was a sign, and it said, today, I will not be a T-Rex. And for most people, they're like a T-Rex. Why does that even matter? Well, if you have a visualization of a T-Rex, you know it has very small arms at the top, and the rest of its body, well, it's abnormally large. But once you knock over a T-Rex, they don't have, well, they didn't have the capability to get themselves back up. And I didn't want to put myself in the position of not being able to pick myself back up and move forward in life. And I just continue to lean on in my faith. So towards the end of the year, around the holiday season, something told me, Mildred, pack up all your personal possessions. I rolled my yoga ball out and took down family pictures and things along those lines because, again, I was listening to God. So the beginning of the year didn't get much better. Another conversation with HR, still didn't have anything. So still trudged along. Well, on a fateful Thursday, I had a meeting with our volunteers to go over their annual plan. The last thing they said was, Mildred, thank you so very much. They called me their snitch. And I took that to heart. And I was like, yes, I've actually connected with these people. And I told them, hey, I would get these notes typed up, get them back over to you for review. Well, that next day, Friday, March 13th, sitting in my office, typed up my notes. I got a call from my manager. Hey, did you get that email about the meeting? No meeting on my calendar. Well, we're going to come over and we're going to talk to you about some of the things that are going on. Okay, fine. See you when you get here. Kept on working. I get a knock on my office door. My coworker says, hey, your director said, hey, HR is here. So I said, well, okay, the office is empty. So as a result of that meeting, I was separated from my office. Things that are going on in life. But I call that my liberation day. My liberation day ended with me walking out with a bag in my hand, a smile on my face, and a trip to Whole Foods for their cupcakes. And if you've never had their lemon blueberry cupcake, you may want to make a trip over. Not a shameless plug, but a wonderful thing to say that I enjoyed out of my life. So I went home. I talked with my family and friends that I could confide in. I didn't necessarily tell my internal family what was going on because that was a lot to deal with. I was 3 hours away from them. We're about to start COVID. You know, again, we're still going through this grief cycle with my dad. But I used this time to actually get busy. That next Monday, I woke up, I outstretched my arms, and I said, good morning, Father. Thank you so very much for getting me through this day. And I haven't had a day like that in a very, very long time. So as I said, I got busy. I started talking with mentors, and they all agreed, Mildred, you need to heal from the grief and the workplace trauma before going to your next step. One of the biggest mistakes that I recognized through that meditation was I made a huge mistake. I waited on my employers to see my worth. And I say that because I was not pouring in my training and development beyond my schoolwork. I am an HR professional and I wasn't doing my due diligence. So I decided to, as with everything, being a perfectionist, I hyper-skilled myself, not even upskilled, I hyper-skilled. I attended webinars that I found on Eventbrite and LinkedIn. I did a lot of researching, and one of the wonderful organizations that really pushed me through was HR Girlfriends. And if you haven't had an opportunity, or if you don't know about them, wonderful organization of HR practitioners, both male and female. And on Tuesdays and Thursdays, they had a coffee break session where you can just talk about what's going on in the corporate environment, how things are changing, interactive documents about COVID and getting people back to work. But I also attended HR summer school, and I think I met a few of you guys there, and I thank you so very much for connecting with me, because I began to also grow my network. That was very important for me to be a professional Phoenix. I had to dig my feet in, do my due diligence, do my research. So again, I started taking classes in unconscious bias. I even received a post-crisis MUMA business. And this was all, again, to broaden my knowledge as an HR professional. So you ask, well, Mildred, okay, so now you're a full-time MBA student, you're not working, and how are you able to build your network for you to become more visible to secure employment? Well, when you are at home and unemployed, days of the week actually go by you. So I began to have a daily diary on LinkedIn. So Monday is Motivational Monday. Tuesday is Thoughtful Tuesday. We can do it Wednesday because we all need to get through that hump day. We have Thankful Thursday and Fulfillment Friday. And I use those as opportunities to not only give myself a boost of inspiration, but to everyone else that I'm connected with, because you never know what someone else is doing in their life and how it may be impactful. But I also recognized out of that, I had a flirtatious relationship with LinkedIn. I only went on LinkedIn when I was looking for a new career change, and or if I needed to get information specifically about an organization or a person. That was a big mistake. I needed to have a more meaningful commitment with LinkedIn, because not only is LinkedIn awesome, but it began to give me opportunities that I never thought I would. I began to reconnect with my past connections. I invested in developing meaningful new connections with a purpose. So I was able to talk to wonderful people like Jim Nellis. He recommended a book called The 20-Minute Network Meeting. I'm a chatty kind of girl. So I recognized not everybody has a full hour to speak with me, but within the context of that book, it gave me an understanding how I needed to maximize my time with someone and to make it meaningful and purposeful. I also reached out to Anthony Paradiso and Maceo Whitlock, and you guys talked to Maceo just yesterday, because one of the things that I want to progress my career in is with diversity, equity, inclusion, and allyship. And they both have such a wonderful background in that, as well as being a mindfulness resource for my future business prospects. And probably if Danette invites me back, I'll share that with you guys. But in trying to fulfill all of the things that I needed to have as far as a knowledge base, as an HR professional, I began to really reach further into my network. So I talked to wonderful people like Deidre Welcome and Wanda Scott about training and development and what that looked like from a corporate perspective, much in a larger perspective than I had served prior. And I met a wonderful Chuck Privera and Elisa Gorcio, who expanded my knowledge on employee benefits. Because although I have great experience as an HR professional, I understood that some days my experience looked like a piece of Swiss cheese. And I never want to have an imposter syndrome. And I know how some people feel about that, but I take my brand very seriously. And if there's something that I don't know, I will actually ask. And I will actually talk to people and be very transparent, because of course, this is truth and transparency, and say, hey, I'm having a moment. I don't understand. Can you tell me about it? And that really has worked well for me. So throughout this time, I have just really kept myself busy. People laugh that they put away their agenda books for COVID because, they're just going to erase 2020. But in 2020, I'm actually thriving. I am beyond surviving. I am doing things that I never could before. I am meeting wonderful people that I never would have before because we were all so busy working in our own lives. We didn't look beyond our office doors. And it helps. It helps so greatly because when you begin to talk with individuals about how they got to their happy, their nirvana, there's a story behind that. And that's why I really thank Danette for allowing me to talk about my truth and transparency so that it can inspire others. And if it doesn't immediately inspire you, you can always share it with someone, put it in your pocket, save it for a rainy day. Because unfortunately in life, there is change. Did I expect to be unemployed in the middle of COVID as a full-time MBA student, hours away from my family? No. But today I stand here and I'm proud of everything that I have accomplished. I'm looking forward to the future. And the one other thing that I leaned out of in the corporate environment, we all want to be liked. We all want to assimilate. We all want to have that business to fit into the corporate culture. But one thing I also understand was I have a lot of personality, and my personal authenticity is very important to me. My family considered me a unicorn. And I can say it as a unicorn because I just didn't fit in. And they were okay about that. And my father, both of my parents are BIPOCs, and they had conversations with myself and my brothers about being authentic and understanding that it makes you, every snowflake is different, no snowflake is alike. And once you collectively put them all together, it makes a beautiful landscape. But my dad told me early on in my life, he said, baby, no one will ever walk like you, talk like you, or dress like you. Never apologize for who you are. Being normal is boring. And I say that is if we ever get an opportunity to meet, there may be something that someone finds very quirky about me. For instance, I was in the elevator one day with my neighbor going to work, and he said, what are you wearing? Clothes. Where are you going? Work. But you have on gold shoes. Why do you have on gold shoes? It's a Tuesday. Why not have on gold shoes? I live in my authenticity because my life experiences growing up in DC in a cornucopia of wonderful cultural experiences has allowed me to become more relatable in the workforce. And having that relatability is my driving force, because one of my loves and my passion is for employee engagement as well as volunteer support. From the day that I onboard an employee and throughout their career until they decide that they're going to step into the next season of their life, I want to keep that smile on that face. I want to keep them motivated. And that is something that a lot of people don't have a knack for, at least in the way that I do. Now, I'm not trying to pontificate or anything along those lines. I'm just telling you how things are with me. And I appreciate that. And my coworkers appreciated that. And especially my coworkers and my volunteers that said, hey, we really appreciate you being the office niche. And saying that the day before I was separated means a lot. So that is my journey. I'm still going. I'm still looking for employment opportunities in the DC region. Looking for jobs is going to be hard, but I would say with anything in life, lean into it, remain authentic, but also don't take people's time as a disadvantage. If you take the time to reach out to someone, be meaningful, be purposeful. We are all in a situation that, yes, we have never been in before, and people are trying to balance lives in the most creative kind of ways. But if you're going to network with someone and you don't know them, send them a personalized message and say, "Hi, my name is Mildred. You don't know me. However," and put in there if you share connections, "this is what my mission is." And I always put, "If you would please accept my connection request, because I am trying to grow as an HR professional." And more than likely, they will. A wonderful woman by the name of Brenda Mueller taught me that. And I have seen a great return on investment for people willing to say, "Hey, Mildred, if you have 10 minutes, can we talk?" And it's not with the expectation of me getting a job. It's with the expectation of, I just really want to know who you are. And I appreciate that, because every conversation puts more into my knowledge base, and it makes me a better person. It makes me a better HR professional. And that's really what I'm striving for. I don't want to go back to that person in 2019 or even the day before my liberation day. I want to be a better person. And I have to take that responsibility. I can no longer rely on other people for my happiness or my professional development, even if I am in school. I have to take charge of that. So I implore you, if you're a job seeker, if you're just looking to make changes, start. It'll work out. You have to step out on faith. And you never know if you're going to get that opportunity if you don't apply. So have I applied for positions that are just a little above my comfort zone? Absolutely. I'm going to let them say no. But they also have the opportunity to say yes. Because a wonderful gentleman that I met in HR summer school named Chaveso Cook said, we need to be more like greyhounds. If you ever know anything about a greyhound, they can run, but they run with meaning, and they can run long distances. What we don't need to be are cheetahs. We don't need to have a spurt of energy, be that rock star at work, be that wonderful person for a couple of months, and several months later, we're panting at the end of the finish line, and we've just exhausted ourselves. We have not taken advantage of the meaningfulness of that opportunity. So going forward, I am that greyhound. I'm the lean, mean HR machine. And I'm learning, I'm developing, I'm growing. And that's really what I wanted to share with everyone. It is my truth and transparency. My year and a half is a little different than everyone. However, everyone can understand at some point they've had some type of loss. It may not be with a person, but it may be from a situation. They may have had a questionable work environment, and the mission of the company may be great, but that particular situation, not so much. And yes, you may have to run to Whole Foods and get a cupcake. Again, I highly recommend the lemon blueberry. But also, you have to sit back and be perfectly honest with yourself by saying, what did I do to fail? How can I make it better? How can I become a professional phoenix? And what am I going to do to get myself to that point? And that's what I've been doing. And I hope that this opportunity that Danette has provided me, and thank you so very much, will give people the opportunity to really say, I'm not in this alone. And there are other people out there who have had situations that I don't think I've ever gone through, but at least now I know that I'm not alone in this. So if you have any questions, I would love to answer.
Thank you, Mildred. All right, so I'm gonna go to the chat box because we have a bunch of comments, okay? Can you hear me? Okay.
I can hear you.
Okay, so one is, can you tell us the title of the book, the 20-minute, what was the book?
Yes, it's called the 20-Minute Network Meeting. And there are several different versions of that. I will admit, I ordered the wrong version of the book. I ordered the veterans version, but it helps me as an HR practitioner to help those individuals coming out of the military sector into the private sector. But there are great nuggets in there about how to have an effective networking meeting.
All right, okay, so I'm gonna post that one. That was a question from Janae. So I have this, this is so beautiful. Thank you for sharing your story, Mildred. Totally relate. It's a blessing to be healthy enough to be able to process that clearly through so much. It sounds like you have lots of tools to help you work through stress. Yes.
Absolutely.
Cupcake therapy. Mildred is preaching. Look at your own behavior to be able to counteract any external challenge. You can course correct on your end and make yourself dexterous enough to adapt to anything. I love that.
Thank you.
It feels like God took that job to give you time to focus on your true path. I think a lot of people are feeling that now. All right.
Yes, it very much so is, as I said before, leaning into my faith and having that conversation, that true conversation with him. God, where do you want me to go? And patiently waiting. And sometimes being human, we don't necessarily want to wait. Life doesn't come in an Amazon Prime 2-day free shipping situation. And being patient sometimes does take months of true healing. One thing I can also say about it is throughout my journey, I saw a therapist, and for BIPOC, seeing a therapist is not something that is readily accepted. But I would highly suggest it if that is in your spirit and if that's something you're willing to do, because that in itself helped me heal.
Yeah, I see a therapist as well. And I don't know, it took me a long time to start and I wish I did it sooner, but it is definitely something that helps me. All right, so I love those days you just mentioned. We can do it Wednesday. Yeah, I love it. That was from Janae. We're gonna do that in Corona Days. So we're gonna start a We Can Do It Wednesday. I love that one as well. Okay, so let's see. Flirtatious relationship is a perfect way to describe it. I need to get committed to LinkedIn too. Mm-hmm.
And if we're not connected on LinkedIn, please send me a connection request. But also remember what Brenda Mueller said was be very specific in your private message.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mildred is precisely the kind of spirit any organization would want in their HR space. She seems so passionate. Yes, I agree. She seems so passionate about helping people to be their best selves. This is true.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Thank you so very much. I appreciate that.
Get Mildred some cupcakes. Yeah, Whole Foods Market. Yes, get Mildred some cupcake swag. Yeah, because she is marketing today. I'm wondering if Mildred has a sense. I'm wondering if Mildred has a sense of how the HR landscape is going to have to change to adapt in the midst of COVID-19?
Ooh, okay. So the one thing that I can say from a manager's perspective, you had individuals that believed employees could not be productive working from home. Prior to working with my past organization, we were allowed to work from home, given reason. It was a great work-life balance because we all know your doctor's appointment is never going to be at 9 o'clock. It's going to be at 11:15. But there's opportunities to work in the morning and there's opportunities to work in the afternoon. But COVID has really shown employers, your employees are rock stars. They can work from home. They are productive. You don't need to micromanage them. You don't need to ask if they're in the bathroom because they are doing what they're supposed to do. That's why you hired them.
Yeah. Trust
your employees. So I hope out of COVID that employers can say, I trust my employee. If they need to work from home, and this is after the world reopens, but if an employee works from home and they said that they're working from home, we have, a history of what we're into month 7, 8. I don't know where we are at this point. But they've been able to do that. I think really it's a managerial shift in corporate culture that needs to happen because families look different. Work-life balance looks different. And employees need to have that flexibility and that agility. Yeah. So I hope everybody can work at home as much as they need to or when they need to episodically.
I agree. I definitely agree. So we are going to have Anthony Paradiso here next week. So next week, no, the end of the month. So he will be here. I know you mentioned Anthony, so he'll be here in 2 weeks. So I don't have anything, guys. If you have anything else, please drop it while I go to my questions for Mildred. And again, thank you for sharing and being so honest and open with us, Mildred.
You're welcome. I live in my authenticity, and I hope others can too.
I think that's one of the things that we are learning from COVID, that it's okay to be you, it's okay to just be who you are, and the facades are gone and you can drop them and just, be who you are, live your truth, whatever that is.
And employees are more productive when they can spread their wings, when they're not abbreviated and clipped. Let your employees shine because it's just going to make your company better. And it's just going to increase not only your productivity, but your profitability. When you have, I don't know how many more articles there need to be about employees' happiness and corporate profitability. Let your employees be happy. You don't have to micromanage them.
Yes, I agree. I believe it was Martin Pratt, just piggybacking off of what you said. He says something that it seems so simple, but it makes a whole lot of sense. And I think we often ignore it, that he is an entrepreneur, but he says when he goes to speak, he wears what he's comfortable in, He's showing up, and it may not be aligned to what people think he should have on, but he noted that he walks a lot and that he loves Skechers. And so he shows up in Skechers, he shows up in the type of shirt that he likes to wear, and that may not be what people expect, but that's how he's going to present and give him his best self if he's comfortable in what he's wearing, right? And I think so many times we get dressed up, or we wear, especially when maybe we might wear the uncomfortable shoes, and because we want to present our best, not realizing that if we're uncomfortable, we're not able to present our best. And I think
absolutely.
So, okay. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, Mildred. So CDPD's mission is to increase marginalized groups' access to employment opportunities and representation in the workforce by providing our members with free training, mentorship, and other resources. CDP was created in response to record unemployment and underemployment stemming from the COVID-19 pandemic. Would you be able to share with us, Mildred, if you have ever been marginalized by others, because we do not marginalize ourselves, and if you can share why you were marginalized by these people or person?
Unfortunately, I have a great deal of stories behind that. Being a BIPOC woman throughout my career, I can just share a few, and yeah, yeah, unfortunately, I have a lot. I worked for a wonderful company, and one of my coworkers, she must have had a good reason for saying this. And it was a very traditional office setting. It was a technology company. So it was very older, very white, very male dominated. Not a lot of female engineers, which I would love to see were more female engineers. But she came up to me one day and she said, Mildred, I know you're doing a great job and you were a great hire. I was like, wonderful, thank you so very much. And she said, you were a safe hire for a Black girl. Ooh. And I said, yeah. I was like, ooh, okay. And I said, well, what makes me so safe? And they said, well, you speak very well, you're very pulled together. I said, okay, so I just still don't understand what you mean by it makes me safe. Well, sometimes people who come to interview for this company don't have that presentation. And I said, well, that's very unfortunate because you lose out on a lot of great people who are living in their authenticity, yes, who could provide such amazing experiences for your company because they don't fit your status quo. Yeah. Now, at the time, my hair, when I went in for my interview, because we all have this presented interview look. Yes. And at the time, my hair was very long and it's naturally curly. But I had my hair in a ponytail. But one particular day, for all of our curly haired girls that can say, there's that moment when your hair tie has its last little bit of elastic and it pops. Raise your hand if you've ever experienced that. So I'm sitting at my desk and my hair tie pops. And out pops this curly red, think Sideshow Bob amount of hair. Yes, that was a Simpsons plug. But my coworkers walked by and they were like, what just happened? Like, it's my hair. I mean, I don't know what you want me to do with it. Today it's actually straight, but that's the flexibility of being a woman, and not just a BIPOC, but a woman in general. I've been marginalized by my capabilities. One of the things that I focus in my upskilling and going for my MBA is the fact that although I had wonderful experiences as an HR professional, I always got stuck with, well, you don't have your bachelor's degree. So in 2016, I followed a really good friend down to the Hampton Roads area, and I got, again, busy. So I had already had an associate's degree, enrolled in Virginia Wesleyan in 2017, finished my degree in 2019, and I can say, ha-ha, now you can never marginalize me by not having those things. And unfortunately for individuals of color and for women, there is always that invisible glass in front of you. You don't know how to go through it, around it, over it, unfortunately is there. So those are just some of the ways that I've been disenfranchised in my life. If you want to know more, just email me.
Thank you for sharing. And I always say it,
You're
I
welcome.
ask the question because I want people to know that, first of all, we don't marginalize ourselves. Small people do, and people who are afraid of us. They see the greatness that we oftentimes do not see in ourselves, right? So
Absolutely.
I asked the question because I want every person who watches this, CDPD member or not member, to know that if you are currently being marginalized, or if you have been, and if it ate away at your self-esteem, know that in spite of being marginalized, you too can achieve greatness. Look at our presenters, right? You too can
Yes.
be a professional phoenix, right? So that's why I asked the question. And then this is funny on the hair thing. My dad worked for corporate America his entire life. He passed in 2005, and he was working at the time. It's the same company, but I'm not sure what it was called at that time. It was originally digital computers, became Compaq, and then Hewlett Packard. Well, his hair began to recede, and so he shaved his head.
Mm.
And the response from his colleagues was, are you trying to be like Mike? Right? Because Michael Jordan was the thing at that point. This was in the 90s, early 90s. Or is this some militant phase you're going through?
Mm.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, it just, yeah. Yes. All right. So,
That's
uh,
really disappointing.
yeah, and my dad always said, like, if my hair didn't recede, that was the point where people were going natural. He would have loved to put locks in his hair, but he knew he could never do that in corporate America, not in 1990, but he would have loved to do that if he didn't lose his hair. But he lost it and shaved it, and that's what the response that he got. And so he was always explaining away that, no, I was embarrassed because I'm becoming bald, and I don't think we should have to ever explain away our hair or our color or our accent or our sexual choices. It's just like, but that's what it is. Or even our thoughts, like a lot of times we are marginalized because we think differently, and you're not going with the status quo, and you're going against the tide. So anyway.
I'm glad you shared that, especially with hair journeys, because as women, we change our hair with the season.
Mm-hmm.
I think Coco Chanel said it best that when a woman cuts her hair, she's about to change her life.
Yeah.
And you mentioned your dad may have grown locks. I had locks in corporate America.
Mm-hmm.
My response from the traditional individuals in my workplace was extremely positive. If they knew that I was getting my hair done that Saturday, they waited on Monday. They're like, oh, I wonder how it's done. Because from an architectural standpoint,
Mm-hmm.
they wanted to know how certain styles were
How could you
created.
get it?
They
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
appreciated me and my
Mm-hmm.
locks.
Yeah.
But the day that I came in after I had that big epiphany chop, they knew something was wrong, but they couldn't figure out what it was. And I just happened to tell my director, he was like, it's something different. It's something different. I can't figure it out. And I walked past another coworker's office who was a wonderful Black female engineer. Her name is Leela Rockwood Jenkins. She's like such an inspiration. She said, you cut your hair.
Mm-hmm.
He said, that's it. That's it. That's it. He said, but I'm going to miss it. Are you going to do it again? So in that situation, it was such a wonderful feeling to know that no matter what I did with my hair, I was still appreciated as an employee. And I want everybody to have that feeling. That's one reason I love the Crown Act, to allow
Yes.
individuals to live in their authenticity, to
Mm-hmm.
have their hair how they want it, and not to be marginalized in the workplace.
Yeah. I don't want to be marginalized because of my hair. And I had locks for 10 years. I had sister locks. I just took them out. I just picked them out during the pandemic in March.
Mm.
It took me a full month. I don't want my hair to be any topic. Molly's hair is not a topic. Why is Danette's? And yes, we have Black people named Molly, but you know what I'm saying. So if her hair is not a topic and Jim's hair is not a topic, why is Danette's hair a topic, or Dennis? And that was my dad's name, was Dennis. So that's the thing I want. Like, just, it's a non-issue. It should be a non-issue. All right. So I don't want to know how old you are. Okay.
I will tell you.
I don't want to know. I mean, that's up to you. What would you tell your younger self that you know now, Mildred, about your career journey?
Mm. So just so you know, I am 44. I exfoliate a lot. I drink a lot of Botox,
I'm
meditate a
46.
lot,
I hear you.
you know, drink a lot of water, all the things your doctor should tell you to do. If I go back and look at my career, I think I would have been more brave because people did put roadblocks in my way. And I was just so mentally and physically exhausted that I didn't want to challenge them. And I could have been in a better situation. However, I don't know if I would have appreciated it as much as I do now.
Because of the journey.
So for that, I think I would have been braver. I would have been stronger. I would have been a little more mouthy. Because sometimes with women, we're told she talks too much. If it were a man, you would think he's a great leader. But for a woman, she's not approachable. And for a Black woman, if I have to hear one more time an angry Black woman, I'm going to scream. Because we're not, all times we have a right to be angry. Yeah, and white women too. If you all need to be angry, be angry. There's an underlying reason for it.
Yeah. Or if you have something to say it, right? Like Annie Lee, who was here, I think that was in July, said the men wouldn't let her talk in the workplace, you know? And so, and this is a white woman, attractive, blonde hair, you know, beautiful eyes. So it can happen to anyone, right? And so she went back to school to get an MBA just so she could have a voice. And I don't want any of us to feel that with or without a degree, you don't have a voice. We all have a voice, you know? Thank you for sharing that. And then my final question, and then I'll check back and look into the comments, see if we have anything else, is if we could only walk away with one thing today, what would you want us to walk away with, Mildred?
Ooh, so I'm going to take a page from Tina Turner. And the only thing she wanted to walk away with was her name. And my name, Mildred Allen, has so much power behind that. And living in my authenticity and living in my truth, being able to walk into my own greatness, I love my name. And that's really what I want people to know. Embrace yourself. Don't look for outside validation. Love who you are. Every quirk about you, if you have Star Wars figures on your desk, if you like Hello Kitty, I mean, anything that makes you you, because at the end of the day, you have to live with yourself. You don't live with your coworkers, your managers. When you put yourself in the car and you drive off, again, when the world reopens and you drive away from work, that you have to deal with the person that you are. So what I want you all to walk away with is live in your authenticity, live in truth, live in your name. If you have a name that what most traditional Americans cannot pronounce, you make them pronounce it. Yes. Break it down phonetically, draw them pictures, get a whiteboard, make baseball cards with your name, but also put under there why you matter. Because you do.
Yes. Damn, that's a good answer, says Therese. And I have from Therese. Okay, so I'm thinking a lot about later life higher education. And I'm wondering if Mildred could talk a little more about how she negotiated the cost benefit rationale of going back.
Okay, so the cost benefit rationale was I had to do it. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Now, I'm very transparent. I had my daughter at 19 years old. So she was out of the house in college by the time that most people would just be getting in their groove of work. You know, they're making a name for themselves. They're going up the corporate ladder. I'm dropping my child off at college. So I don't have those experiences with little children at home. I know our lovely Rhonda Rodriguez right now is
Everybody
probably
knows
at home and
those
her
five
kids are very near, but balancing it out, I had to invest in myself. What was holding me back from having the career that I wanted? Not the job, the career that I wanted, the life I wanted. And it really was, both of my parents were DC public school teachers. Both of them had double master's degrees. So education was very important. And I wanted to have that as a self-fulfillment. I no longer wanted to have that as a barrier, as a hindrance for me to step into my greatness. And of course, there are wonderful people who don't have degrees, wonderful people that don't have degrees that have made such a dramatic change in other people's lives. They may be at your house of worship. They may be at your grocery store. They don't have to be on TV every day in the magazines. Look at our wonderful Danette. CDPD was not even conceptualized, but I have learned so much in these past couple of months. So age has nothing to do with it. Was I oftentimes the person in my undergraduate class? Yes, but here's the thing. I brought life experiences that Pokemon could not relate to. Yeah. So I would say, don't worry about the money. Don't worry about the financial portion of it. God will make a way. Allah will make a way. Buddha will make a way. Look, trees, my nature, for all of our empaths, it will make a way. If that's what you want to do it.
I hear you. Let me see if we have anything else. All right, we don't have anything else. Mildred, thank you. I really appreciate this. You have great response in the chat, and you know we're going to have multiple replays. I'm going to post this up later this evening because I have to run. But I really appreciate you sharing with us today, and you know you have an open invite to come back. Also, we're going to need your buy-in on We Can Do It Wednesday. So maybe you can lead that initiative, and we'll just jump into it on Facebook. Maybe you can start it off for us this Wednesday. And then I also wanted to say to you and anyone else who's here, remember that Shauna Leibowitz Gaynor is going to be coming in. It's actually October 22nd. I didn't give you guys the date yet, but please, if you have a topic that you think she should cover when she comes, Mildred, I'd love to hear from you. So please give me that topic. I'm going to take topics and questions until Sunday and deliver them to her on Monday. All right. All right. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. And thank you everyone out there. And if you have questions, find me on LinkedIn. But I would love to share more dialogue with you. And please remember to live in your truth and in your authenticity.
Yes. All right, Mildred, have a great day.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.